Editor for Grantland, Chris Ryan with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports, at Chris Ryan 77 on Twitter. And Chris, the amount of injuries we have seen in the NBA postseason this year, it seems absurd, doesn't it?
It seems ridiculous. You know, guys, it's weird. I just talked to Wesley Matthews, who we obviously saw went down with a Achilles injury earlier in the postseason, and or towards the end of the season. And you know, I asked him straight up, like, do you think that there's something going on in terms of training habits, in terms of the way the game is played? And he chalked it up to guys don't stop training. There is no off season. People go straight out of the postseason, straight out of the regular season, right into a training regime. And he said that, you know, this game is changing. I don't know if you could. There's been a lot of flukes, the Mike Conley injury, the Kevin Love thing. You can't really blame that on training, but yeah, I think that there's definitely something in the air.
Now, are we getting to a point where it's just, hey, you're the healthier team, here's the championship?
Ask the Spurs. I mean, I think that those guys are really the leaders when it comes to managing minutes, saving guys for the most important times of the season, and even that couldn't, you know, they went into the playoffs with an injured Tony Parker. It probably cost them the Clippers series.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, both with concussions. Are we at a point where we should have the NBA reevaluate how they evaluate concussions?
That's a great question. Look, Klay Thompson's saying two things. He's saying that he cut his ear and that he had concussion-like symptoms after the game. It's always hard to trust the player because they're going to want to play. It's hard to trust the team because they're going to want the best product on the floor at all times. The NBA is the organization that has to step in and say, look, if this guy's got even the suggestion of a head injury, he really just can't be anywhere near the court. You know, I don't think it's as serious an issue as football where you're seeing repeated head trauma, but I do think that there needs to be a stronger protocol.
Now, what we heard in the playoffs was, like, you know, they're kind of ahead of this. They've got the baseline test, and they're going to test these guys again, and then Curry comes out in the court again. Klay comes out in the court again. Are they as far ahead of the concussion protocol as they want us to believe, or is that just smokescreen?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you saw Klay kind of jogging out. It almost seemed like he was running away from doing any more tests when he came back out onto the court. And Steph was wearing that arm sleeve in Game 5 so that it almost seemed to be distracting anybody from remembering that he fell on his head and neck. I do think that those guys just need to get a little bit more hardline about it. Pro sports in general probably does, just for safety's sake.
Chris Ryan covers the NBA, editor for Grantland, at Chris Ryan 77 on Twitter. And Chris, perhaps with all the injuries, it's a good thing that we have the longest break that we've ever seen between the conference finals to the NBA finals.
I think so, in so much as you want to see the best players playing. It's really kind of a disappointment. I think with Kevin Love, the Cavs definitely have a shot against the Warriors. I think they still have a shot. They have the best player in the world. But it's going to be nice to see Kyrie Irving get to rest up his injured legs a little bit, and we'll get a really great matchup at point guard there.
Chris, it sounds to me like you're giving the edge to the Golden State Warriors.
I have no reason not to believe it. I think they're one of the best teams I've seen in about 10 years.
What makes them that good?
Just how diverse they are, how many different looks they can throw at you. I was thinking, how many other teams can you guys think of who have so many options of people who are going to throw at LeBron? It's crazy. I haven't every series I've ever seen LeBron play. It's always this huge question: who's going to guard LeBron? Who's going to have to take on the responsibility of taking LeBron for 40 minutes? How is it going to affect that player's offense? Think about how many guys the Warriors are going to throw at LeBron. It's actually for the first time I think LeBron has to worry about who's guarding him.
For most of this season, there was a lot of, is Golden State tough enough? It seems like now that we've all really seen them, now that they've played all these other teams, including Memphis, we're not questioning their toughness anymore.
We're not questioning their toughness, and I don't think we're questioning their depth either. You know, one of the questions I had is, let's say teams start scheming defensively to take Thompson and Curry out of the game, much like we saw people take Korver out of the game when the Hawks got into the postseason. What's going to be their third, fourth, fifth option? And we've seen night after night, different guys step up for the Warriors, whether it's Harrison Barnes, whether it's Festus Ezeli. Like, the list goes on. I just think that they have too many different looks they can throw at the Cavs.
Chris Ryan, editor for Grantland. Chris, the Warriors, are they setting themselves up for a dynasty here?
Well, you know, I think that they would like to think so. The Draymond thing is going to be interesting. He's arguably the heart of that team. He is the guy who, when they need someone to go coast to coast and get a crazy layup or make an incredible defensive play against someone, Draymond's always been there. I think he's way more in play in the offseason than people think, and I think that, you know, this is a Michigan guy. You know, he could maybe go to Detroit, become the centerpiece of that team. So I think a lot of it's going to depend on Draymond, but with that backcourt, I think that they are going to be at least contenders for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Who's more likely to be in Cleveland next year, Blatt or Love?
Blatt.
Blatt.
Yeah, I think Love's gone.
And you think Blatt will be there no matter what?
Yeah, I think that you can't really. It would be really difficult to fire a guy after the finals, for one thing, especially in the finals without the third best player on the team. Blatt has weathered a lot of storms, but when you think about it, all LeBron coaches have to, because coaching LeBron means that people are always going to question whether if you're doing your job well, whether you have anything to do with it. And if you're doing your job badly, you're always going to be on the firing line. Against all odds, really, this guy has gotten this team to the NBA Finals, and I think that he's probably earned himself at least another season. Also, I think with the exception of Thibodeau, I don't really know how many other options are out there that would be better for the Cavs.
And speaking of Thibodeau, his exit, the two sides are playing the blame game. Who's more to blame, Chicago or Tibbs for that breakup?
I think that Chicago honestly has an institutional history of really making life pretty hard on their head coaches, going all the way back to Phil Jackson. It doesn't sound like the best management structure in terms of coaches getting a lot of say of what they do. All that being said, by all accounts, Thibodeau is a very demanding, grinding coach, and not unlike a guy like, say, Scott Skiles, where you'll see results over the first 3 years, but after that, guys start to tune out the yelling. They start to get tired of the two-a-days or whatever the kind of practice schedule it is. Guys like Popovich, who last in one place for that long, are the outlier. I think that guys like Thibodeau, who can coach somewhere for 3 to 5 years, are more common.
All right, I'm going to give you the list of the names that we've heard for the Bulls job. Fred Hoiberg. Yep, that's the list.
Is that
Is that the end of the list?
That's all we've heard. Is he the guy?
Yeah, I think health pending. He had that heart surgery a little while ago. Otherwise, I would say somebody to look at is Gentry, Alvin Gentry, the assistant coach for the Warriors. I think he's going to be a pretty hot coaching candidate since he's the architect of their offense. But to me, every indication is Hoiberg. In fact, it sounds like, to read Woj today on Yahoo, it sounds like it's almost a done deal.
So there's no chance of a D Rose John Calipari reunion in Chicago.
That's funny. My Cal spot was New Orleans. I love the idea of him going to coach Anthony Davis and Tyreek.
I just saw those two together, and I feel like any chance Calipari has, he'll do public love letters to D Rose.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it would be sort of funny if he went back to coach a Memphis guy instead of a Kentucky guy. I'm sure that Cal is interested in going back to the NBA. I think that he will wait another year at least, because I think a couple of pretty marquee jobs will be up in a year or so. You could see the Lakers job open. You could see the Cleveland job open with LeBron. You don't know how long Fisher's going to last in New York. So there could be bigger jobs open in a year or two, and he doesn't have to deal with Gar Forman and John Paxson telling him how to do his job.
Chris Ryan covers the NBA with Grantland, editor for Grantland. Where does Tibbs end up?
That's a great question. He does have a little bit of a taint on him now, doesn't he? Right? Like the end has been so acrimonious, and the stuff that's come up about his working methods makes you nervous to see him coaching an Anthony Davis. We don't want to see somebody who's that special get worn down. I think that he actually is going to wait it out for one of these bigger jobs. I think he wants a big job in a big market. I think he could be the Lakers coach in a year. I think that would work.
Wow.
That would be, wow, there'd be a little star power on that one.
Yeah.
All right, so we are your home for New York sports. I have to ask the question, what can the Knicks do this offseason to be even relevant?
I think that they are in a similar position to where a lot of these rebuilding teams are. They're in a slightly different one because they happen to have a superstar on their team and a quote-unquote basketball genius in their front office. But what they really just need to do is do the easiest things. They need to draft the best player available. They need to sign someone like Chris Middleton, who is a competent basketball player. They need to not waste their cap space, and they just need to take it step by step. I'm actually a Philadelphia 76ers fan, so I feel like I'm particularly zen about this rebuilding process.
God bless you, my son.
Yeah, but
please don't say zen in New York.
It's a slow process, and I think that if you get to the middle of next season and this is a sub 500 team or even worse, I think you will start to hear conversations about trading Melo.
Well, can they turn it around in 1 year?
No.
Yeah, we don't think so either. Wow.
They can get okay in a year because it's the Eastern Conference, but I don't know if you're not going to see an Eastern Conference final in New York next year.
Holy crap! I love this guy.
How about just a playoff game? I mean, is that being greedy?
Yeah, no, that's not greedy at all. Hey, I'm a Sixers fan. I'd love to win 30 games.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that the Knicks in the Eastern Conference are basically a couple of bounces of the ball away from making the 8th or 7th seed. I just think that the smartest thing to do if you really want to blow it up is you got to move Melo if you can find a buyer.
Yeah. You think the Sixers would buy? Can we just make that deal right now? Or
you guys know what my dream is Kobe plays the final year for the Lakers and then comes and plays for the Sixers for the minimum.
I mean, he says he's not going to play in L.A.
I know. Hey, come on home to Philadelphia.
There you go. Chris Ryan, editor for Grantland, at Chris Ryan77 on Twitter. Chris, your greatness, man. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Chris, that was fun, dude.
Yeah,
you
man.
fucking rock.
Anytime.
Are you kidding me, man?
Don't say anytime because we will call you like once a week.
That was, dude, your nails, man. We're probably going to hit you up next week.
Yeah, do it.